We want the farmers and the buyers to communicate a lot better, saying what are the items. The buyers will be saying what are the items they need. The farmers will be saying, okay, we can grow it, but here's what I want from you. I need a contract. I need, you to pay me on time and whatever. We think that will help us grow our business in the region and depend much less on extra regional sources for our food. It will also help us with a certain level of food security. We will also be addressing some of our food nutrition needs. So this is what the POPEL project is looking to address. And POPEL is really the promotion of regional opportunities for produce through enterprise linkages.
Today I envisage this buyer growers meeting to be one of paramount importance to us here in St. Lucia, one which is considered long overdue, one where high expectations and positive results are anticipated. Given the economic, social, political, financial, and environmental problems and the rapid changes that faces our global economy, this has impacted negatively and has severe implications on the small island states, particularly St. Lucia. These factors, however, has exposed our economic vulnerability in terms of our productivity and competitiveness, both locally, regionally, and internationally. Despite all of these challenges, at the end of the day, the most important thing which is needed is food security and safety, food health and nutrition. The big question we need to ask ourselves is how much of the food we eat from our tables or the food that we buy from the shelves, whether they are produced locally or processed locally. It is considered, and it is a fact, that the strength of a nation is the ability to produce food to feed its people, and the wealth of a nation depends on the health of its people. Through health, one can prosper and achieve an education or skill, be involved in commerce, trade, economic and infrastructural development, etc. So I perceive this meeting is not only about making money or profits in the value chain process, which is producing high-valued goods to meet high value in markets, but more importantly, to increase the level of commitment to each other between growers and buyers, ensuring that the needs of the consumers are met, whether you are local or a visitor. This means that our goal is to drastically reduce the food import bill and aggressively increase local production of fresh foods, vegetables, and fruits. That's the only way to save this country's economy from total disaster. Therefore, the main emphasis of this meeting today should be and must be about sustainable economic livelihood for all to benefit, particularly our growers. And I must commend CAFAN and CHF to be the vehicle behind the POPEL project initiative and this buyer-grower meeting which is being held today. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this meeting and do have a wonderful sitting. Thank you.
I am pleased to be here to represent POPEL. also known as the promotion of regional opportunities for produce through enterprise and linkages. Propel is a 5-year project funded by the Canadian International Development Agency, CIDA, and CHF, a Canadian NGO formerly known as Canadian Hunger Foundation. CHF is the implementing agency for the Propel project, which has its regional office in Barbados. Firstly, as the representative here today for CHF and Propel team, I'd like to recognize CAFAN and its associates for their work in organizing this forum to bring buyers, producers, and other interested stakeholders together around a very important issue. Sessions like these hold special significance for Propel, and you will understand why as I introduce this new project to you. As noted, Propel is funded by CIDA and CHF. The project started officially last year and will be operational until 2017 in 8 countries in the Caribbean. Of course, St. Lucia is one of those countries. CHF will implement Propel in collaboration with key regional partners, including CAFAN and the Caribbean Group of Youth Business Trust. The overall goal of Propel is to increase the absorption of Caribbean-grown fresh produce from participating Caribbean countries into high-value domestic, regional, and extra-regional markets. How can we achieve this? The project will focus on 5 main areas. Firstly, Propel will increase the capacity of producers in the region to meet high-value market demands in terms of quality, quantity, and safety standards in an environmentally sustainable manner. And to do this, Propel will work closely with producers and their associations while strengthening selected value chains. Secondly, the project will identify high-value market opportunities for fresh produce through market assessments and then build the capacity of producers to participate in those markets by strengthening their business and entrepreneurial skills. Third, the project will facilitate access to producers to appropriate financing. Fourth, Propel will provide organizational strengthening to national and regional associations, networks, producer groups, and other organizations to enhance their capacity to serve their members and to facilitate the delivery of fresh produce to high-value markets. And finally, very importantly, the project will strengthen links between buyers and producers, increase synergies and complementarities among value chain actors, develop market opportunities, and support marketing campaigns and activities as appropriate. Bearing these objectives in mind, producer groups and networks like CAFAN are critical partners for Propel, as our success is hinged on the capability, motivation, and creativity of such organizations and their members to meet the requirements of high-value market buyers. Over the life of the project, Propel will work with thousands of farmers around the region. The project will place special emphasis on inclusion of women and youth. We expect women to continue and increase their roles in the sector, especially in areas such as agro-processing and marketing, areas in which they already play an important role, as well as in leadership roles in producer groups. It is important to underline that Propel is grounded in market-led approach with producers supported to produce high-value markets in a competitive way and at agreed quality and food safety standards. Towards that end, the project will work very closely with buyers while strengthening relationships between producers and buyers through various means, including fora as this. This element is seen as centrally important to the overall success of the project. This forum today, therefore, is significant as it provides an opportunity for at least 3 objectives to be fulfilled in a direct way. 1, identifying high-value market opportunities and associated requirements for producers. 2, establishing communication channels and synergies between buyers and producers. And 3, building confidence in producer-buyer relationships. I should also note that Propel's overall approach is deliberately aligned with the priorities of Caribbean governments, linking producers to buyers, increasing availability of locally fresh produce and healthy food for people, developing and expanding the agricultural sector, and stimulating the economy through utilization of natural resources are pillars upon which Caribbean governments are looking to build. The project is also intended to be responsive to a priority concern of all governments in the region, the high food import bill, which is estimated at upwards of US $5 billion per year for the region as a whole. The market for fresh produce, private sector import substitution alone is currently estimated at $50 million and $100 million per year. In the 8 Caribbean countries targeted by Propel, we also recognize that agriculture is a significant contributor to GDP as well as employment. So, getting it right in this area has the potential to make a huge difference in the region with benefits for farmers, processors, and other value chain actors and buyers looking for fresh, readily available produce at competitive prices. In closing, I would like to recognize once again CAFAN's role in organizing this important buyer-seller forum. I'd also like to underline Propel's keen interest in the results arising from this event and signal our intention to build on decisions from this and other such events to increase the volume of Caribbean produce finding its way to high-value markets in St. Lucia and beyond. Best of luck in your deliberations. I am confident they will be fruitful and beneficial for all concerned. Thank you.
CFL is honored to be here this morning in the capacity of the single largest buyer of local produce on the island. This is a role that we take very seriously. We recognize that good agricultural practices and agricultural development are directly linked to our ability to continue to meet the demands of our customers for fresh, wholesome agricultural products. In that respect, we see our role as going beyond providing a market for farmers and producers through our supermarkets, but focuses as well on providing some key support structures which are helping in small measure to shape the future of agriculture in St. Lucia. Agriculture, in our view, is critical. It is one of our critical success factors. Consequently, we have sought direct partnerships with the Ministry of Agriculture and related organizations, farmers' groups, and more importantly, the growers and farmers who are the foundation of this sector. Our relationship with farmers has developed over the last 35 years, and it's an indication of the commitment and the dedication and the type of emphasis that we place on this sector. Presently, we purchase from our two buy-in depots, one in the north at Shock and the other at Latuni in the south. Every year, we have been able to increase our purchases of locally grown produce and raised agricultural products. But apart from providing a market, everything about our operations indicates that we are committed to farmer development. And not to bore you with what I mean by that, but I think it's important for us to establish that we pay a fair price, we ensure timely payments within a week, sometimes less. We provide preferential pricing for certified farmers and have taken the liberty of upgrading the shopper level of our farmers where our loyalty program is concerned. And so all of our CFL farmers receive a better points value than the average customer when they shop with us. CFL's relationship with this sector does not end when the produce is delivered to the store. So important is this relationship that every year we meet with all of our farmers in one room to discuss, share, and exchange ideas on how we can strengthen our relationship. Issues of supply and demand, quality, standards, among others, form part of the discussion, which, though formal, also has an informal side to it, as it is an opportunity to socialize and just touch base, about matters beyond the farm and the supermarket. This is the type of relationship that we are so honored to have with our farmers and with agriculture overall. In fact, it was at one of these meetings 3 years ago that the issue of access to credit at favorable terms to address various challenges came up. 1 month later, the CFL Registered Farmers Loan Fund was set up with an initial investment of EC $150,000. This loan facility provides interest-free soft loans to farmers, and it actually takes the form of payments to farmers' suppliers for products or services required by our farmers. Farmers who have accessed the facility have done so for a range of reasons: to meet and address various production challenges like black and yellow Sigatoka disease, for purchasing farm production supplies, chemicals, fertilizer, seeds, plants, to set up irrigation systems, and in some instances to deal with farm emergencies. But importantly, CFL's agricultural focus is also about the sustainability of the sector. This has led to a more defined focus on the future of agriculture through support for agriculture as a subject in schools. CFL is the main sponsor of HOOPS, which is a program coordinated by the St. Lucia Youth Agricultural Forum and ECA, as a direct response to decreasing youth interest in agriculture as a profession. Through HOOPS, which is now in its 3rd year, students are exposed to agriculture as a career choice with the hope of creating a cadre of future farmers and producers. 14 schools are now part of the program, to which we have contributed over $140,000 to date. In fact, I'm pleased to inform that later this week we will be hosting an exhibition at our Mega J warehouse store where we'll feature the work of the 14 primary and secondary schools in the program. So you're all welcome to visit the schools who are participating in the program. This Friday we start at 11. In closing, let me say that we recognize that creative solutions and collaboration of key stakeholders is critical if the agricultural sector is to overcome challenges and retain its rightful place in the economic development of the country. When called upon to participate in regional and international conferences, workshops, roundtable discussions, and other programs geared at improving agriculture, or to give back through donations, sponsorship, and support, we do not hesitate to do so. Most of this is done through our local perishables manager, Mr. Dunstan DeMille, who has a very, very strong passion for agriculture and so literally sets CFL on fire when it comes to agriculture. I think we should give Dunstan a clap, actually. I want to say that as a proud local company, and perhaps the island's largest single local investor, growth has been a strategic priority for us at CFL. As we grow, our pledge is to continue to create a market for agricultural products, to continue to support livelihoods, supplying the nation with fresh, healthy, local products, helping to reduce the food import bill, and improving food security overall. In the long run, it is all about growing better together, and this is what CFL is all about.
We are very proud to be in St. Lucia. We just came back, Dunstan and myself came back from Jamaica, where when we had our first Biagra meeting in Jamaica, the media and everybody was saying this was such a breath of fresh air because it was practical, and I tell you why. We all know there's high food import bill. There's a lot of studies, there's a lot of policies and paper, CARICOM, food and nutrition security policy, common agriculture policy, fisheries policy, every policy you could think about, a whole set of things on paper. When you go to the European, they send a letter every year, they're sending thousands of people down to the research consultants to tell us what we know already, and they're coming up with the same problem, spending millions of dollars. And the key the persons who are supposed to be drawn into the sector to ensure that we have a sustainable agriculture sector, the traditional private sector, they are not involved. In truth and in fact, if you want to reduce the food import bill, you got to get CFL to buy from the local farmers. You got to get the hotels to buy from the local farmers. You don't need no paperwork for that. All these studies is going to tell you $4 billion food import bill. Yes, right, we know that. How are we going to address it? Now, we brought in Dougal to do analysis. We have analyzed most of the products that are being imported, the fresh produce. And we have conclusive evidence that we can be competitive. So when we sit down across the table and we tell a buyer, we want you to buy from us, we are not begging them. We're saying you're going to make a bigger profit by buying from us. And what we're saying to the farmers now here, once you are able to produce the consistent quality and what the buyer wants, we have a good forum for agreement. Now, in the Buyer Go Forum, which is an initiative of CAFAN, we don't allow the Ministry of Agriculture to talk at all, except they sit on the side and listen. The technical organization, they listen. You know why? We put the farmers and the buyers to eyeball each other. Now, normally, anytime you're looking somebody in the eyes and you're talking to them, if you have worthlessness in your mind, that's gone out of the table. You have a good mind to watch somebody straight in the face. And when you sit down and talk, you share, and you're honest with each other. Not when you do paperwork and sign paper and sit behind a desk. That's why we try to bring people together. So the idea is, when you bring people face to face, they look at each other, and the buyer would say, listen, you farmers give me a lot of crap, telling me that you're selling me carrots when you're done. You say, you're bringing nonsense to me. Or the tomatoes or the cabbage I see coming out, I can't buy them. Okay? Now, if you could produce this quality, then I'll buy. Then the Ministry of Agriculture, the technical agencies now are going to come in and say, aha, we have all the technical expertise. We could help you produce the quality. That's where they come in. At the end of the day, what we want is sustained markets. And if we can get our buyers to buy directly, for example, a tourist coming to your country, a large percentage of income go in food. Now, you may think you're getting a tourist dollar, but when you look at the amount of money go out in food, you may only be getting about half or a little more than half of that. Now, if you can keep 20 cents more in, that's less. Your government might not have to go to the IMF. That more foreign, that you save foreign exchange. So these are hardcore realities. So I'm not dealing with no figures and no study. So what I want, the reason why we choose CFL, to carry them to Jamaica, to show the Jamaica that we in the OECS are ahead of them, and Barrett, sorry to say that. But the point about it is that we are, in sort of respect, because here you have a company that are investing in farmers. No. We still have a long way to go in the farmers' organization. A lot of the farmers' organization structure are weak. A lot of them still do things the same way over and over again. There's a lack of injection of young leadership into most of the farmers' organization. And we need some time to bring more intellectual muscle into the farmers' organization. I keep saying to our farmers that, take an example, I've traveled a lot and I've seen situations where farmers own the whole value chain, but they don't run it. The point is that what we have sometimes is when you have a farmers' organization and somebody who might not good at finance decide to be the treasurer accountant. And whereas you might have somebody in your village who is an accounts teacher who you could pull in as a specialist to do that. So what we are saying, we are trying to get our farmers' organization to take a more business-like approach so that they can have a more sustained agriculture business. Not sitting down in the same old thing that you've been doing for 20, 30 years. That's not going to get us anywhere. I want to see my farmers driving the biggest car, the biggest Jeep. I want to see you be rich off agriculture. I don't want to see no poor me one farmer, no tear up short farmer. I don't want to see farmer come in no dirty clothes or nothing like that. Keep that on the farm, and even on the farm you could even do better. The point is I want to see my farmers making money. And at the same time, I want to see they offer a product to the buyer that the buyer can also make money. And that's the object of this buyer grow meeting. Everybody is going to make something from it. So that is what we are going to do. In our session, what we normally do, we sit down and there's no big set of debate about you, about this or that. There's no blame game. That's not encouraged. Sit down, we want to know the list of crops that the buyers want, the list of crops you have to offer. In the first session, straightforward. Second session, what are some of the critical issues that you need addressed? And that's where a lot of the technical people would come in to help. At the end of the day, I expect, just like what we had in Jamaica, that people are going to come out and say, aha, these possibilities exist, so that I can take a lot of these and then go to organizations that are assisting us like CFL and say, listen, my farmers need more field crates in order to get the quality produce they need. My farmers need a branded box. My farmers need better fertilizers in order to get the quality of produce out, or in order to get the yield required to be competitive. Those are the issues that would come out later down the line. But today, we're just going to make sure we get the relationship going. And I am very confident that with the technical expertise available and all the high-level people in the Ministry of Agriculture, ICA, CARDI, and all that, the technical solutions are the least of our problems. It is making sure that we get that relationship right. Now, in addition to that, we in CAFAN have another agenda. We also have massive opportunities for export marketing. And we have intention, and one of the things we're going to do is to try to pull St. Lucia into this as part of our OECS strategy, because we had a geese ship going to England, and we have a large supermarket chain offer us through their packers that if we could produce consistent quality of a special variety of sweet potato, which CARDI has turned out for us from their lab, a red skin, yellow flesh, and I think certain amount of butternut squash and some other crops. We're talking about container loads of commodities that can rival bananas and maybe support a sustained trade with England. And St. Vincent alone can't grow it. Okay, so we are looking at St. Vincent and Dominica, and probably St. Vincent, St. Lucia and Dominica, because the geese both pass here. So that's an opportunity for us that we are now exploring. As we talk at this moment, my chief marketing advisor manager is over in England, talking again with them. I just got some report from him last night, and he was saying that they're anxious to get the first samples, which we in St. Vincent, we have now put in we have decided to put in a 50-acre sample so that we'll begin to send consistent samples. And then hopefully, if everything goes well, we should put together a program to have consistent production in both St. Vincent and St. Lucia, hoping that we could get about 20, 40, 50 container loads every fortnight or so out of this. Because the demand for it is high. That potato is very high in beta-carotene. It is also very good for health. We also intend to release it a lot on our local market, and it is in high demand, especially as a health product.
The role of CAFAN is very significant to us in the sub-region. And when you look at what CAFAN has done and what CAFAN will continue to do, you sometimes wonder if CAFAN will become the new sub-regional Ministry of Agriculture. The role of raising awareness, the role of causing farmers and farmer organizations to realize that truly you are part of the private sector. And I say every time that I speak, I say to you, while everyone calls you farmers, and yes, we are farmers, but you are really part of the St. Lucian private sector. It is very important for CAFAN to continue its role of promoting rural modernization. It's crucial because we are realizing in the region, and indeed in many parts of the world, that all of the models of economic development and all of the theories of economic growth seem to be turning on their heads. World leaders are trying very hard to scratch their heads, to find what's going wrong. Why aren't the economic models working? And we in the sub-region, when we meet at the level of ministers of agriculture, when the prime ministers meet, slowly but surely are realizing that it is really back to basics. It's really back to the producer organizations. It's really going back to farmers, fishers, and farmer organizations. It's really about going back to organizations at the grassroots level, within communities, especially rural communities, to find some of the solutions to our economic problems. It has long been recognized that the technical competence within ministries of agriculture in the region, and indeed in many parts of the developing world, is really not adequate. It's really not sufficient to cause the kind of transformation that we require in agriculture. We have recognized that ministries of agriculture throughout the sub-region need to change, need to adjust, need to cause their skins to be different in order to face the kinds of challenges that we have today. It has been recognized that technical competence alone does not address the issues of standards and food safety. The role of women, the role of youth, and the role of rural enterprise promotion. It has long been recognized that ministries of agriculture need to quickly adjust and quickly change. In St. Lucia, we have tried over the last few years, and indeed even more recently, to adjust our posture. We have started activities such as the farmers market at Rodney Bay to connect farmers directly to people who are involved in tourism, and to connect farmers directly to tourists. We have been working, and this year we are going to complete our work on a national food brand, which will cause the St. Lucia Marketing Board to market local food under one brand. We have caused our Ministry of Agriculture to adjust so that a department focused on Agribusiness Enterprise and Rural Development will focus on farmer organizations and will also cause them to become more efficient. And this year, for the first time in our local budget, the Minister for Finance has allocated to the ministry a line item called the promotion of local agriculture. So you will see us partnering with organizations and farmer groups. You will see us working with you to create specific marketing and market-focused activities to promote the consumption of local food. This is very important, we believe, because we need to be practical, and Mr. Green said it a while ago, and he said it well. There is no shortage of research, no shortage of books and heaps of research about our problems in agriculture, whether it's in St. Lucia or in the sub-region. All of the books are there, all of the documents are there, but there is a shortage of action. There is a shortage of real action on the ground. This forum is important for us in St. Lucia because last year we spent over 355 million EC dollars to import food. Over 355 million EC dollars. We continue to realize that thousands of our people continue to depend on rural enterprise for their livelihoods. And we know that all of our young people cannot work in hotels. We know that all of our young, bright people who are leaving secondary schools are told for other professions in the sciences like farming and fish processing. We know that. And we also know that resilience in agribusiness, resilience of our farmers is always at an all-time high. So in spite of everything that happened in the economy over the last couple of years, in spite of all of the declines in economic activity throughout the region, in St. Lucia, the farmers made us proud by, first of all, helping us to increase agriculture's contribution to GDP. The farmers increased production in every single area, and the farmers increased the incomes that went into the rural areas. So it is very clear from a policy standpoint that agriculture must continue to get the kind of attention that it deserves. I say to you that as a ministry, we are going to continue to sharpen our tools. We are going to continue to cause the ministry to shift its focus. Just at the end of the last fiscal year, we completed an adjustment of the vision and the mission of the Ministry of Agriculture in St. Lucia. So we now have a new vision and a new mission statement. We have adjusted our programs to ensure that the work of the ministry reflects results and that we can connect results to our programs and our strategies. We are trying very hard to be more farmer-focused. We are trying very hard to stay closer to the organizations. And we are trying very hard to ensure that the environment is created for action on the ground. All I can say to you is what Mr. Green said a while ago. I really don't like to talk a lot. Those who have worked with me over the last few months will tell you, possibly, that what I look at is the plan and I match it to the result. I multiply it by the amount of time that we spent on it. That's all I want to know, and that's all I want to do. I wish to promise you that we will do everything in our power and within our means to give you the support that you need. I want to promise you that in this Minister of Agriculture, you have someone who will listen to you, who will come to your aid, and who will ensure that the Prime Minister continues to support us. The programs for this year's budget have been made public, and we invite you to participate and to join with us to ensure that we do what is required. I thank Mr. Green for his efforts, his enthusiasm. I thank CFL, Mr. DeMille in particular, for your support to our farmers. And I say to you that come the end of the next financial year, we will have much more to report, and we will have good news for the farmers and the people of St. Lucia.